All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and start to build the skid steer. I took this apart. I did a couple updates with the with the AliExpress actuators, and I built it, tested it, played with it a little bit, and now we're gonna go ahead and do the build series. And we'll just go ahead and start from the top. But before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about these tracks I started to mess around with. Not the best quality, but this is a different material. It is TPE 75A, and it's so much softer than the TPE. But I started experimenting with this. Unfortunately, the teeth for on the inside here, I hope I can show you guys. The teeth on the inside here were very weak, and I'm not too sure if it was the way I was printing it or the material. But anywho, what I ended up doing is kind of filling in this backside. Gosh, I can't get the camera on here. Filling in this backside here, or front side, and kind of giving it a wall to help tie in the two sides. And in there you can kind of see what it looks like. Let me see if I have another one. Oh, here we go. So here's the old one, and this is TPE 75A as well. But what kept happening here, and I'm sure you guys are experiencing this, is this one's pretty strong. This one came out nicely. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that. Right in the middle of those teeth, you can see it start to split. And that's what was happening to me. Oh, there's one right there, right in the middle. That split. So once that starts to happen, it just kind of becomes useless. So anyways, I was testing with these guys, and these seem to work really, really well. So I will update those tracks for you guys, and then I'm thinking about coming out with a like a track version, like a steel track, but not necessarily steel, but 3D printed, but not flexible like this stuff. So I'll work on that, and we'll see what we got going on. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and start to throw this together. You'll notice some pieces are together just to kind of speed some things up. You know, I'll show you guys how to do the one half, and then the same with the arms. I already built one and installed the bearings and some of the details and stuff. So I'll go ahead and show you guys how to do that. I actually have to take this arm back apart to get the wires through. Not sure why I pulled those out, but and then some of the electronics are pre-wired. I might unsolder these just to put some different wires on, because you see these blue and green. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and start building this bad boy. All right, let's get this party started. So first, you're going to go ahead and take your main plate, and then you're going to mount your either side first. Now, this is different from the instructions. The instructions tell you to mount this to the plate first, and then go ahead and mount this. But for the sake of this build video, I'm going to go ahead and start it like this, just because I already had it like this. So anyways, go ahead and start your one side. I glued this on. This is the right side or the left side cab detail, and the only reason why it's separate from the actual the side piece is because it's usually a different color. Like on the Kubota, it's actually red. This bar here is actually what in real life it's supposed to. What it does is it swivels up and it holds your arm at a certain height, and it's so you can work on the arm without the risk of the arm coming back down on you. But anyways, for here, it's only a glue-on piece because it's supposed to be a different color. I already had that on there because, again, I took this apart to make this video for you guys, and hopefully help others get their build completed. So anywho, go ahead and get this done, and then the next step for me anyways is to go ahead and install your first motor. And don't mind this motor, it's very dirty. I think I've had this motor for 3 years now, and many machines. This is the testing motor. So go ahead and let's get this installed. You're gonna go ahead and take your M4x10, I believe they are. Let me just make sure, don't wanna eat my words. Yep, your M4x10 button head. Hopefully you guys can see this. That's what I like to use. The head sits very, very, it doesn't stick out too much. And I don't know, it has a lot of grabbing area as far as bite to keep that, the print from, you know, the hole from blowing through. Say, you know, there's some really weird external force, but with this I wouldn't worry too much. So
we'll go ahead and get this done, and then we'll move on to the next step.
okay, so we got the motor installed. Another reason why I wanted to show you guys this way is I wanted you guys to see the space in here, and what I've been doing when building these is I use these small ESCs, and some of you guys might think that these aren't enough, but to be honest, they're I don't know, for what I've been using, they're more than enough, especially for something like this. They're 2 to 3 cell capable. They're dual, they're called a dual brushed ESC. And I just love using these because there's 4 ESCs right here. And that's all you need for this skid steer. And it's, I don't know, it just makes everything nice and simple. You know, there's a lot less wires and it takes up a lot less space. But what I like to do is I make my battery lead kind of long. When I'm using these ESCs, I just match the wiring gauge or the thickness that they came with as far as their battery leads. So what I'll do is I'll make it a little long, and then for this machine, what I like to do is actually stuff it underneath the motors here, and then I'll run all the receiver leads back out, and then run these wires back out for our arm and our bucket. But we'll get to that here in a little bit. I just wanted you guys to see how I set it up, and then I'll end up doing that before I get this next motor in. But let's go ahead and continue. So right here we have our main plate, our left side frame, or I believe it's called plate, and then this is going to be the front plate. So let's go ahead and get that installed. And for this front part here, if I can get it to stay, this front part is going to use these M2x10 self-tapping, and you could use whatever head you want. I prefer to use these socket head, just because the where the Allen head, or where the wrench head goes, and it's just a lot deeper than like a button head, or I'm not a huge fan of the Phillips, just because I don't know, they always strip out and I just don't like them. So yeah, I love these socket head. And again, you're going to use these 10 mil self tappers. Oh, actually, before you do this too, if you're screwing them in, you're going to want to put these cab stops on, or arm stops. I glued mine on just because there's no reason to take them back off, but there are holes. Hopefully you guys can see there's a hole here and a hole here, so so you guys can screw them in if you choose to do so. But like I said, I just glue them on. Simple. But that's the orientation that you're going for here. So let's go ahead and get this last screw in at the bottom. Oop. Almost stabbed myself. I did stab myself. Oh, we got a gusher, boys. Okay. Alright, so then what you're going to do is you're going to take your M2 by 8mm self-tapper, same head, and you're going to go ahead and screw in from the side here. And what we're doing is we're hitting this this little mount here. Okay, so now we have the front, the plate, and then the one side done. So looking pretty good. Now we're gonna go ahead and get this rear door plate on. So another thing I wanted to show you guys is, let me grab my goods over here. So this is, I don't know what to call it, but it's my bowl of drill bits. And then what I'll end up doing is I'll take this guy. This is just a hand one, and this is just easy for clearing out debris and holes, or not debris, but supports or whatever the case is. But what I'll end up doing is finding the right size that I need here. And here, grab our cheap micrometer. So this is a 1.4, 1.5. So what I'll end up doing is I'll clear a lot of these holes out. So I know that down here are going to be, I need the screw to tighten into this, right? So these holes, what I'll do is, if I feel like they're not big enough, or I feel like it might split the part, I'll end up drilling these out. PLA seems to be a lot more forgiving than PETG. When you start to get some smaller parts with PETG, especially something like this right here, PETG will just end up splitting and cracking. Although PETG is awesome, it's brittle in that sense. So I like to use PLA. Most of the time my machines are inside anyways. So anyways, I'll get the 1.5. We'll go ahead and drill these out, and then I'll take a 2mm drill bit, and then I'll drill any of the parts that the screw needs to go through and not necessarily thread into. I'll drill out to 2mm, and that again just makes it to where the screw it can kind of spin freely through this part. So with this one, you're going to go ahead and grab your, it says M2 by 10. I think that's wrong. Let me just double check. See like how it just kind of goes in there, and then they can spin freely and it's not really locking up on each other. So let me just double check and make sure that these are 10mm. Another thing too is with this part, flat part goes up towards the door. I hope I'm getting all this on camera. Okay. Alright, let's see if the 10mm will work. Okay, so that was a 10mm, and I don't think that's going to be any good. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay, so 10mm is definitely not the right screw length, so just pay attention to that. I'm going to try an 8mm. I think 8mm is going to do it, because there's not too much thread coming out. So I'll change the instructions here and make sure the hardware is updated with that as well. Even 8mm is not much, but we're going to use 8mm. Yeah, 8mm it is. So let's go ahead and get that down. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna actually not put a screw in this one because I am running low on 8mm screws, and I just want to make sure that I have enough. If I do have enough at the end of this, I'll fill that in, but I'm not worried about that popping up. So okay, so that's it for the first part of the first page. Let's go ahead and put this back over here. So I'm gonna follow the instructions that I've set up. So the next part says to put this guy on. So I suppose you can just follow these instructions as well, or just watch this video. And now it wants you to start mounting the motors. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab this side, and then I'm gonna mount my motor on this plate first before I attach it to the main plate. So again, grab your 4mm by 10, and these are fine threads. So I believe they're M4 by 0.7mm threads. So whenever you're building anything of mine, in my instructions I'll say fine thread or self-tapping, and self-tapping could be considered wood screws as well, because like a coarse thread. So you got your coarse thread, and then you got your fine thread. So.
And here in America, we like to make things really confusing. So our numbers here for something like this is like a 1024 or some weird thing. And I believe 10, I don't know, not too sure what the 10 is, but the 24 means 24 threads per square inch or something like that. Anyways, I like how the rest of the world does it with the millimeters, and just, it only makes things so much easier. Plus, I'm not a big fan of like all of our measuring system here with the inches, and we got thousandths of an inch, hundredths of an inch, 10,000ths of an inch. Makes things confusing.
All right, so we got this done. This is going to be the passenger side, I believe. Yeah, pass side. So again, details on here. Yeah, I waited till after I got everything built to add the detail because I wanted to make sure it lined up with everything. And what I mean by that is this goes right here, and it gets bolted in right there, like right on it. Oh. Come on. It gets bolted right there, so you can see it lines up. So you just want to make sure that that lines up just for the best looks. Okay, so now that we have this motor done and mounted, we're gonna go ahead and grab our ESCs, and we're gonna go ahead and get those in. You could get everything plugged in. What I like to do is, when you buy these ESCs, the motor leads come with these, I think these are JSTs, the male end of the JSTs, and then the battery comes with one of these female ends. So I'll take that, cut that off of my battery lead, because I like to use these Deans connectors, and then I'll use one side, or one of them, for one of the motors here, and then I'll grab, let's see if I can find it. I bought these on Amazon. It's just a pack. I think it was 20 of them, 10 of them. Yeah, 20 pairs, and it comes with male and female. So, and you can see I've used a lot of the male or the females out of here. I only have one left. Oh no, I got 3, 4. Anyways, excuse me. I like these a lot. I'll use these again to get the female ends on those. So, if you haven't done that, solder these on. I will do a quick video, or a quick clip of me soldering some stuff on, just to kind of show you guys how I do it. I'm gonna actually make these a little bit longer, because you can see once they go in here, they have to flip back around, and I need them to be just a little bit longer. I just don't want anything to be too tight, so I'll go ahead and show you guys how I do that, and hopefully that'll help you as well. So let's actually do that now, before we get everything else put together. So let me get the soldering station and stuff set up. Okay, we're back. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some soldering. Let's see what this is. This is, I believe this is rosin core. Man, it's been so long since I got this. I can't even read what it is. Oh, it's 031. The size is 031, and I believe it is rosin core. It's like 3.3 or I don't know. Dang. Date of manufacturing, April 25th, 2018. Whew. That is for almost 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Holy moly. Anyways, you could use pretty much any electrical soldering. And then some good old flux. Love the flux. And then a wet sponge. Doesn't have to be too wet, just nice and moist. And then wet sponge is great for, see the tip on this? It's absolutely disgusting. So great to go ahead and clean everything off. That wet sponge. And then bada bing, bada boom. Looking brand spanking new. Alright. And just to kind of keep it looking nice, you can just dab a little bit of solder on there. I'm going to put that back in there for now. Okay, so let's go to prep our wires. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these. Oops, these wire strippers are awesome. Let me show you guys what they'll do. I don't know what they'll do too. Let's see. So you stick them in like this, right? And then it grabs it and then it strips. Did two at once. So beautiful things. Got these on Amazon for 17 bucks. Best purchase ever. So you can see now, looking great. So what we'll do is we'll actually grab our cutters, plastic cutters, another beautiful tool, and we'll split these wires. All right, and you split them just because you want some room to add some of your heat shrink. And I'll show you guys what that is if you don't know here in a minute. So dip your ends in the flux. Doesn't matter if you get it all over the wire. It ain't gonna hurt anything. It just might make it a little bit messier, but it's nothing that we can't clean later on. So you can see it's all over the wires. We've got like a nice little hanger. Leave it there. Beautiful. All right, so let's go. All right, got cut off there. So we'll go ahead and I already soldered these. I just didn't get it on video. We'll clean off our guy. Add a little bit on here just to clean up these wires. Okay, so those ones are done. Now let's go ahead and move on to these other ones. I already did these two, again off camera. But when you go to strip these smaller ones, these are silicone wires. I just use these cutters and I barely grab it and then pull. Sometimes you don't want to grab it too much. You'll feel when it goes through the silicone and then just pull. Worst case scenario, or not worst case scenario, but what you're trying to do is just kind of pull the silicone sleeve off, and then that'll do that. And then go ahead and get some flux on there. I use a toothpick and wipe the flux all over it, because these wires are real thin. If you try and stick it in there, they'll just bend. So these are prepped for our new wire. What I'm going to do is use some of this silicone, and it's just it's almost like speaker wire. It's just two wires put together. One's clearly ground, one's your positive or hot. So I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit more length on these, and I'll probably just go, I don't know, whatever that is. And then we'll do 2 of those. Yeah. I'll actually go one a little bit longer. Well, because these ones are almost long enough, so we'll use that short guy for that, and then this one for that. We actually need 2 of these ones. So let's grab our strippers. Beauty, eh? Just go ahead and split this a little bit. Split this side as well. Beautiful. So let's go ahead and do that to all of them. Okay. Pull them apart a little bit. Alright. I'll go and twist these ends. And we'll dip them in there. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead and solder these ends. So what I usually like to do is I'll hang a couple of the ends over this edge here. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, and then we'll just go through and just solder all of them. Again, wipe off your tip. Alright, we'll flip them over. Do this side. Alright, so those are done. So now let's go ahead and get our heat shrink out. I usually get these kits on Amazon. It's just this regular stuff. So we'll cut like a couple of these small guys, about 1/2 inch long, 10, 12 millimeter. We know we're gonna need 6 of them. We got 7. All right. So then with these, I'll kind of open them up a little bit more, and then what we'll do is slide these over, get some on first. So it looks like that. And then what we'll do is we'll grab a soldering gun and we'll put a little dab on there. Not a dab, just enough to get the tip nice and wet on there. And then, so you're gonna choose which for this wire I'm using, you're gonna choose. So you got one with a stripe, a white stripe, and then one that's solid black. So the one with the white stripe, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's positive, and then the all black one is gonna be my my ground. So go ahead and get that coordinated, and then you're just gonna go ahead and line it up. Maybe get a little bit more solder, line it up, and just touch them for maybe like a second or two. Wait for it to get hard, and then that's that. Bob's your uncle. So go ahead and do the same for our positive lead. A lot of the times with these little wires, it's just a little tap, a little dab. And then once that's done, you can blow in a little bit, make sure it's not too hot, feels good. Go ahead and slide your heat shrink over it. Sometimes you're gonna have to spin that heat shrink to get it to go over it, but so once that's done, then we'll go ahead and it looks like we're gonna need more wire. So we'll go ahead and use our lighter just a little bit, just to get that heat shrink, and now it's sealed. So that's one end. Kind of messed up on this. I actually used the longer length one on this, so I'll probably not use this one. I'll just save it for later. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the same size one on this over here. So grab your heat shrink. Oop. Man down. Alright. It looks just like that. Go ahead and get your gun. A little bit on there. Alright, so again, we went black with our ground, so let's go ahead and hover over that guy. Just a touch. Just a touch. Beautiful. Looking good. And then our stripe one is going to be our positive. So sometimes you gotta, when you're doing it just by hand, you kind of gotta move the wires around and sometimes to work with it or to get it to touch. And sometimes you can pinch it like that. And just a touch. Just enough to get them to melt, and boom, that's it right there. And they feel good to touch. Go ahead and slide over your heat shrink. And sometimes go past it just to see if you have where it needs to sit, because you want to cover both wires on all sides. So we'll go ahead and grab the lighter. Boom. And those are extended now. And then these are going to be actually for our actuators, the arm actuators. These are going to be for the bucket. So grab some more wire, and then we're going to do the same thing. Cut this guy in half.
And I'll go ahead and get these ones done. I'll probably end up speeding through this part of the video just to make it a little bit quicker, but I'll definitely keep recording. Alright, so we just extended our leads now, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and turn this off. Get this back over here for right now. Okay.
So the whole purpose of that was to get all of this together. Alright, let's go ahead and get our motor over here. So we'll plug on our motor leads into one ESC. And then the other ESC is going to be for the arm and the bucket. So let's go ahead and get all this in here. Alright, so once you get all that wiring underneath there, this is kind of what it'll look like. You'll have a bunch of this hanging out here. And this is what you want. You want a good amount of this wire out, because eventually what we'll end up doing is we'll just tuck all that in once we get it all plugged in and stuff we're not using. Come on, guy. Yeah, we'll just tuck all this back inside of here, but this is what you want it to look like. So now we'll proceed with putting on, mounting all this good stuff. So let's go ahead and get one down here. Down on here, again, you're going to use your M2x10. So we'll start with this one. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and grab our M2x8. Excuse me. Go ahead and make this nice and tight. Beautiful. And we'll go ahead and finish this off. We'll get our rest of our M2x10s in. All right, and you have the base done, basically the main chassis. So I am that'll be it for this part of the build series. When we come back, we'll go ahead and start to get our rollers, our track on, and we'll go ahead and work our way up, and then I'll take these apart so you guys can see how I do that. So, all right, tune in for the next one.